So what we're going to look for in her video is the purpose behind the choral response that she's using, and the various calling methods that she's using. So we're going to watch approximately 3 minutes of her video, and I want you to just make a tick mark every time you hear her use some kind of student engagement technique, whether it's cold call, individual turn, choral response.
Okay.
Then we're going to watch it again. So we're going to see how many times she infuses that in her lesson. Then what we're going to do is look more specifically at how she's using that in the lesson and why she's doing it. Okay? This is one of the scientist lessons, so it's one of the lessons that you've recently done.
Yes.
All right.
They love the scientists.
So really quick, what does she do?
Let me see those hands. Let me see pointing. Usually I say one hand, two hands, but essentially the same thing.
So if you say one hand, two hands,
Yeah.
they're still somewhat reluctant to put their hands
Yeah,
up.
and then like 5 hands shoot up.
Right. So now she's saying, let me see those hands, let me see those hands. What did you notice? Did you notice what she did when she was walking across the front? Look again.
Let me see. What did we learn about yesterday?
That's one student didn't raise their hand, so she, yeah. Proximity.
Yes, so she's using proximity. She puts emphasis on it, on what she's saying, and she gets even closer to the students. So she used proximity with her body, but she even got closer. That's a KWLO.
Okay.
Okay, so keep that in mind. That helps you when thinking about tonight. When does she give individual turns, cold calls, or choral responses?
When she asks a question, she always tries to get every hand up to get everyone engaged. And when this one student is answering, immediately after she does a, I guess a little like what, say what, or stuff like that to get everybody engaged and just keep the flow going, because I know it can die down really easily and then you lose a bunch of students.
What questions did you hear her ask and then have the students chorally respond after?
Like what is a scientist? Or what did we learn about yesterday? And he said a scientist. And I guess more about the content, what definitions or something like that.
So she went over the definition, so she had to repeat what is a scientist.
Yeah.
She had them review what did we learn yesterday, so she's tying in prior knowledge. And now she's having them repeat what the definition is for a scientist.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those are directly related to the objective.
Yes.
Okay, so she's only having them chorally respond when it has to do with the key points. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So what I'd like for us to do is take out your lesson plan for today. Do you have that with you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to script out points in the lesson where you can further engage students, whether through the use of individual cold call or call and response.
Okay.
So what is the objective for today?
Identify their 5 senses and use their 5. Be able to, when they use them and what is used for which sense.
Okay.
What body part.
So one thing that we want them to repeat several times, and so let's get back to the purpose of it. Why does she have them repeat several times?
Let's make sure they understand the objectives.
And since you can't call individually on every single student, I mean, you might be able to if you're Andrea, right? So if you get to the point, she's like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So, but since we're not able to, in a given lesson, call on every single student, we still have to walk away knowing that every single student mastered the content. So the way we're going to be able to do that is by having frequent repetitions of whatever the objective is. So we will call that punching the key words or punching the key points in the lesson. So that's what I want you to infuse more in your lesson.
Okay.
You have the joy factor. You have the energy. These are all things that we've been working on. Now let's talk about content, okay? So how can we get students to retain the key points in the lesson? These are the items that you're going to repeat the most frequently throughout your lessons. Okay, so we have our 5 senses, so they have to be able to recall what the 5 senses are. They have to be able to understand the world around us, which is why we have 5 senses.
Yeah.
All 5 senses correspond with specific body parts, which is exactly what you just told me, right? So now we know that we want to hit those several times throughout the lesson. So now let's go into the questions that are asked in the read aloud and during the we do, you do. and see where you can write in core response, individual turn, cold call.
Okay.
Okay, so when we're going through your lesson plan, this is just a best practice, writing in individual turn, core response, cold call.
Okay.
Okay?